Marley Me is a novel by American journalist and writer John Grogan, published in 2005. In 2003, after his Labrador Marley died at age 13, Grogan decided to pay him tribute by writing an obituary in the paper he worked for. The short article generated many responses from readers, more than he had ever received for any other piece. This was the moment when he realized that Marley's story needed to be told, so he wrote Marley and Me, an autobiography of his last 13 years spent with the puppy. John and Jenny are a young couple who, after moving to Florida, decide to test themselves for possible children by adopting a dog. They get the puppy from a breeder who offers him at a discounted price, a clear sign of trouble ahead. They named him Marley in honor of Bob Marley, whose music was background to many moments of their lives. With a sweet, funny little face, Marley immediately wins them over, but they have no idea how much he will disrupt their lives, with his craziness, his extreme playfulness, his strong fear of thunderstorms, and so many other little big flaws that will put them to the test. The puppy grows up fast, as well as his mischief. Marley wreaks havoc, destroys everything in his path, steals the food from the table, drools incessantly, drinks from the toilet bowl, and eats towels, toys, furniture, and an expensive gold necklace. The book's success comes from the collection of stories related to the big dog. The Grogan family lived a rather eventful life in the 13 years Marley was with them, and the dog appears in several emotionally compelling episodes that provide insight into why his owners chose to put up with them. Marley will always be there in every moment of their lives, during moments of joy as well as moments of despair, in the tragedies that are sadly present in everyone's life. When Jenny suffers a miscarriage, Marley stands alert, tail between his legs, as the woman hides in his furry neck and sobs. When a young neighbor is randomly stabbed in the street, Marley turns into a guard dog until the police arrive. The couple manages to have 2 children, but Jenny, frustrated with the new situation as a stay-at-home mom, shows symptoms of depression and becomes increasingly annoyed and grumpy towards the dog, often arguing with John. At one point, she makes the decision to send Marley away and asks John to find the animal a new home, but after a few days, she realizes that Marley is an indispensable part of the family. Years later, in a more peaceful atmosphere, John and Jenny have a 3rd daughter. He accepts a new job offer and the family moves to Pennsylvania. As Marley reaches old age, Grogan's story reaches an inevitable, heartbreaking climax. The dog is struck down with an intestinal disorder and the veterinarian recommends that he be put down to end his suffering. Therefore, Marley dies peacefully with John by his side. The family pays their last respects to their beloved pet and buries him under a tree in their backyard. Anyone who has had to put down a beloved pet will immediately recognize the trauma and pain described by the author. From John Grogan's autobiographical novel comes the 2008 movie Marley and Me, directed by David Frankel, which stars Owen Wilson and Jennifer Aniston. About 80% of what you see in the film is faithful to the true story, while the rest was adjusted to make it work on film, Grogan said. In fact, the film version of Marley and Me follows the structure of the book rather loosely. Events are rearranged and the meaning is reinterpreted to fit 13 years into 2 hours. The focus is on John and Jenny's relationship and growth, and John's acceptance of his fate as a columnist instead of a successful reporter. Of course, Marley's antics are present, and seeing them come to life on screen provides hilarious moments. But the film lacks Marley's finest moments, which are the essence of the book, probably cut because although they are real events, they would have weighed down the cinematic delivery. These include him defending a victim of stabbing, the obedience school from which he is expelled, but also many of the Grogan family's darkest moments, especially after Jenny's abortion and his bond with John. In fact, apart from the comedic part, Marley is mostly absent from the film. We do not see how Marley affects the Grogans' lives, except in a few instances, like the scene where he dances with Jenny. Otherwise, the Marley in the film is a troublemaker wreaking havoc, and that's about it. The film does not opt for a happy ending, but it stays true to the book by showing Marley suffering through the problems of old age and John and Jenny's painful decision to end his life. In the film, John and his family get closer to Marley, understanding that his time runs short. While in the book, Marley manages to maintain his exuberance until the end, continuing the life lessons that the John of the book holds dear. Overall, the book and the film differ considerably in their approach to the main themes. The book focuses on the dog in his worst and best moments and how the Grogans love him in spite of everything, while the film shows the ups and downs of John and Jenny's relationship, with Marley present as a comedic part or trigger for conflict. Both, however, recognize that Marley, the worst dog in the world, is the best thing that has ever happened to the Grogans. I chose to analyze this book and compare it to the movie out of pure sentimentalism. It is not a literary masterpiece, but it is a story that can strike a personal chord, as it did in my case, as anyone who has had a dog can find in Grogan's memories a bit of their own. I personally find that if you have only seen the movie, you have missed the real Marley. I don't think the movie conveys the real message at its best, but it is limited to a general picture focused more on the family's life, wrapped up by a tear-jerking last 15 minutes dedicated to Marley. This book can thrill and touch both those who already have dogs and those who have never had a pet before. The real strength of the book is to show how a dog, in this case Marley, can overwhelm your life in positive and negative ways, and how we can learn important life lessons from our furry friends.